discuss in detail. So ito pong design of experiments is a research strategy invented by Ronald Fisher in 1958, and Doc Jeff already discussed this in one of our webinars in Research University. But this is a very useful tool para po ma-optimize natin yung mga resources natin. So it involves a systematic planning prior to conducting an experimental campaign or experimental study. And this aims to study as many data points from a minimum number of experiments. So we try to optimize the number of experiments in order to get as much data points or get as much information with a limited number of experiments. Kasi most of the time we are limited by our budget or time, kasi nga yung research project ng mga estudyante ay limited lang within 1 year yung experimentation. So that's why they really need to finish within a certain time frame. And yeah, of course, these are very crucial kapag limited po yung budget natin and kailangan natin magtipid. Yeah. So the way this design of experiments work is we try to set bookend values to our different experimental variables. So in this case, I'm just giving this example on the preparation of gold nanoparticles using different experimental conditions. Bakit nakaano yung kamay ko? Ayan, so we have different variables
that we have.
The precursor or the reagents here. When we're trying to synthesize gold nanoparticles, you have a precursor. So this is this gold precursor over here, and then our reductant. So medyo nagpapaka-hardcore na tayo. This is the chemicals part, the concentration of the chemicals, the temperature of the reaction, and the pH. So you have 3 variables. So what we try to do when we carry out design of experiments is that we take bookend values from each of those variables. So let's say the concentration ratio, lowest to highest is 0.5 to 2.5. So nandito po yan. So this is the concentration ratio. And then you have the temperature axis, right over here, and then the pH axis on that side. Yeah, the z-axis. Yeah, 4 versus 9. So you have 3 variables, and then you take the lowest and the highest value for each of those set of conditions. So you have a total of 8 experiments here if we do like the combination of those 3 variables. So you carry out those 8 experiments and try to see which experimental condition will give the highest yield. So in this case, itong condition na to, this condition B, gave the highest yield of 75%. So already we have an idea on what the ideal experimental conditions will be when we're trying to come up with as much high yield of gold nanoparticles. So magpe-play around na lang po tayo dito sa experimental values na to. So, and at this point, we've already narrowed down the number of our experiments. If we try to do the experiment with different temperatures and concentrations, we can go on and perform a lot of experiments, while in fact we can just focus our resources along this ideal conditions. So in that way, we have already narrowed down and cut our time for experiments and cut the costs for reagents and instruments for this uh, experiment. So ganun lang po ginagawa yung design of experiments. And if you want to learn more on how this is done, how this is implemented in your research studies, then you can probably visit our website and just type in design of experiments there. So Doc Jeff did a very nice job in explaining this. I can probably, he can probably explain this better. Yeah.
No, actually, I would just like to build on what JP said. So he
Yeah.
raised a very important point po that ito, consider nyo po to sa Pilipinas kasi sinabi nga po ni JP, you can come up with the most elaborate plan with, di ba, and typically kasi ang ginagawa po natin, napaka-linear ng approach. Two variables at a time ang ina-explore nyo. One dependent and one independent variable. Pero kapag po ang study nyo ay merong 3, 4 o 5 magkakaibang variables na naaaralin nyo, unang-una po, kung kulang kayo sa oras at kung kulang kayo sa gamit, you don't have to work all too hard and exhaust or deplete your resources. Sometimes you just have to work smart and extrapolate. And this is what JP just taught you is a way to accelerate, like your learning in this space. And ang nangyayari po kasi dito is, for example, out of 8 experiments, kung nakita mo na the most important variables are variables A and B, then pwede ka namang mag-focus doon. Pwede mong i-refine yun to better understand.